Welcome back to the studio. I'm Eric C. Jackson. I want to talk a little bit about what just happened in my previous video about the disk cleanup and the disk being full. Now, if you get that sign or something that pops up on screen about the disk is full, I finally figured out what the issue is, because I believe last week or the week before I got that message before. So I'll go into telling you guys what I'm talking about. If you're working on some photographs and you get, let's see what we got here. I will start with the Photoshop file. So I've got the Photoshop file open. It's a 12 by 18 inch, and I want to open up another file, which is probably going to be pretty big here. All right, so let's see if this opens up for me. I got the spinning icon. Okay. Now, if you get my error message didn't come up this time. You would get a pop-up on here to say that you're out of space on your disk. So I'm gonna try to trigger it so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. And let's see if that's gonna work. Okay, so here's what I was saying. It says could not open the file because the scratch disks are full. So a couple weeks ago, when this image or this pop-up came up, I was thinking that I was running out of RAM, but I don't think that's the issue. Because what I did is I went to my trash and I opened it, and I was like, oh, my trash was full of of things that I had thrown out. So I went ahead and I emptied it, and then the next time I tried to open up the file, everything opened up correctly. So I was wondering why that was the case, and then it dawned on me that that has to do with storage. Even though I'm throwing things in the trash, the Mac is still holding it in storage, like it's on the hard drive. So yes, it's in the recycle bin, but it's not off of the computer. So then that made me go and look at my storage. So when I bring up my storage, this is the huge problem. I got the base model of the Mac Mini. Price point was great, but the problem is there's not enough storage on here. So it is a solid state drive, which is also great, but I've only got 245 gigabytes worth of space on the Mac Mini. So what you can do is, of course, I believe Apple's going to charge you $200 to $400 extra if you're going to upgrade the hard drive while you're ordering it online, or you go to Best Buy, you buy it. It can be up to $800 more, depending on how much hard drive space you want included on the Mac Mini. And it's the same thing if you buy a MacBook Pro. The more hard drive space, the more that they add on to the price. And so if you're going to get the base model, like the cheapest model you can get, your RAM is not going to be that great. Your hard drive space is not going to be that much. And so you're going to have to really work around that, especially if you're going to use up a lot of space on your Mac. So for me, I've got external drives, but they're not solid state drives. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to empty this out because there's too much on here. And it'll show you on this menu here where all of your storage is being used up, like what's taking up the most storage. So on my documents, I've got 96.6 gigabytes worth of, that's where all of my photography is. And that's way too much. So if I take that off, then that's going to decrease how much storage space I'm taking up on the hard drive. And then I'm going to stop getting that message, because what it's doing is it's putting, anytime you open up a file, it's putting data on the hard drive. And if you don't hardly have any space left on your hard drive, there's nowhere for the information to go. So that's the problem that I'm running into. Everything else, I mean, the applications, I can't take those off. That's only 60.25 gigabytes though. Everything else, iCloud, 8.7 megabytes, the mail, Apple Music, 17.3 megs. I don't really have much music on here. I keep that on my phone. So most of this stuff, like even in photos, I've only got 63.9 megabytes. So anything that says gigabytes, that's really what you want to look at and see how much of that you can take off of the hard drive. And let's see, the Mac OS, there's nothing you can do about that because that's the operating system. It's going to take up about 27 gigabytes worth of space. And then every time they upgrade, implement more artificial intelligence, the operating system takes up more room. So there's that. And then combine that with their system data. I don't believe there's anything that you can do about that as well. And that's another 51.5 gigabytes worth of space. So I would say about a third of my hard drive is just with what comes with the operating system and what Apple puts on here. So you just have to keep that in mind. Like if you go and buy a hard drive that's got 1 terabyte worth of space on it, some of that is going to be used up by the operating system and the system data. It's just going to take some of that off of there. So you always keep that in mind. If you're trying to buy like a hard drive like 512 gigabytes, again, it's the same thing. So for me, I got the base model that comes with, it says 256 gigabytes, I believe. But again, like not all of that is usable space. So there's that. You also have the colors here. You'll see in this, like it's like a red. It'll tell you like that documents is taking up a lot of space, and then followed by the applications. So what I'm gonna try to do is get rid of everything in red that's under documents. And then applications, again, that's going to stay. System data is going to stay. And then the Mac OS, that's going to stay. So that's just a heads up for everyone. Besides that, even though I've only got 8 gigabytes of RAM on here, I haven't really had much of a problem with opening up large files. It only popped up with this error when I realized that my hard drive is almost completely full. So I'm using up about 238 out of 245 gigabytes. So I've only got 7 gigs of extra space on here. And that's not enough. So I would say keep the hard drive at about 50%. And then no matter how large you blow up your photography, there's going to be enough space on the hard drive where you're not going to get an error message, popping up on here. So I think about, I would even go up to 150 gigs on here. And I think that'll be enough. So yeah, I'm gonna take the about 90 gigabytes off of here, And then that should be plenty. That'll put me below 150 gigs on here, and then I'll be able to open up everything. And like I said, that's my theory. I took quite a few gigs off of here and a couple weeks ago, and now it's ballooned back up again. So what I'm going to do with the documents is move them all to my 4 terabyte. I have a 4 terabyte external hard drive, but I want to replace that with a solid state because the one that I have, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that the solid state drives last a lot longer than the drives with the rotations in them. So that's the big difference with that. All right. So I hope this was helpful. You can, do it yourself in terms of expanding your hard drive on your Mac, expanding your memory. I'm used to doing it on a PC, on my PC laptop, but with a Mac, I looked over the tutorials. It's more complicated. Like, it's more complicated because everything with Mac, I mean, they have everything so compact together with their configuration that you really have to be careful opening it up. It's not impossible, but all the wires, the configurations are so compact together that even just upgrading your RAM yourself, the memory, all of the components look the same, but it's just how everything is just like this. Everything's sitting on top of each other. You have to be extra careful, much more than my PC laptop, as far as taking everything apart, switching out the components and then putting it back together. I've done it plenty of times on my PC laptop. It's not difficult once you figure your way around everything. But yeah, the Apple, I mean, and the thing about Apple too is that once you start taking it apart, you're gonna void a warranty on it. So yeah, you have to be careful with that. But like I say, not impossible, but definitely, yeah, just be careful. And I'm not sure, but I can check if you can take it back to the Apple store, have them upgrade just the components, or will they just say you have to upgrade the entire Apple Mini and just buy a new one that's got, more hard drive space and higher memory on it. I'm not sure how they work that. PC for sure, like you can take it, to the shop and have them upgrade, the system. They've never given me a problem with that, but with Apple, they're very they're more picky with that. With my phone, I had to get the facial recognition replaced, and they just took out the entire inside and replaced the entire thing. And I still had it under Apple Care, so I didn't have to pay anything for it, but they just replaced the entire thing. I believe because of how intricate they have all the pieces together, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's more complex. But yeah, that's what I've run into now, and so I wanted to share that with you guys because I don't know how many people have run into that problem. Yeah, so that's what I've run into. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Take care.